weird. My document's coming up in half a page for some reason. There we go. Okay. Well, good morning. It's good to see all of you folks here, or at least your name. All right, we're going to get this underway. This is my last general meeting as president. And woohoo! It's you next month, George.
I know. And that'll be, I'll make an announcement in just a second when you get to that part of the agenda.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and open it up with announcements. George, go for it.
We're migrating in a new library in January, and the only day that I can work out a training time for them is the day of this meeting in January, which is what the, is it the 14th?
Yeah, I think so.
The 9th, excuse me. Yeah, the 14th is their go live date, but I need to be there on the 9th for their staff training, and it's a community college, and so I'm also going to go to a faculty meeting and teach the faculty about how to use the new OPAC. And it's 90 miles away. There's no way I'm going to be able to fit this meeting into that day. So we should probably either Lizette can enjoy her first time filling in for the absent president, or we could reschedule for a different day. Yeah?
I had wondered if the board was all going to be back at work on Wednesday the 2nd, or if we might want to just push all the meetings 1 week forward if people are going to be out on the 2nd.
Well, I've got good news. I've got bad news there too, because if we push them forward, then I won't
you're
be
still gone.
Board meeting on the 9th.
Yeah.
And I will also be at Highland Community College again on the 16th. It's like 2 Wednesdays in a row I need to be there. So we could push the board meeting like to Thursday if that would be more comfortable for the other members of the board. Let's see, I see Fred and Megan and John and Lizette here and Jason. Does Thursday, that would be Thursday, January 3rd. Would that work for everybody at the same time?
Yep. Works for me.
Yep.
I usually don't work Thursday morning, so I can try. I might have my son, but I might be able to do it from home. The 3rd. I don't even know if we're open. Yeah, but we can do that. I'll try and make it work.
Okay. I'll put that. I'll make that change to the calendar then. And Jason can adjust sending out the announcement for that accordingly. And then for the 9th, we could do the same thing. We could go to Thursday. If we go to the 16th, I won't be able to make it the 16th either. The closest Wednesday I could do it on would be the 23rd then, which is almost time for the February meeting. So
I mean, and I can just run it too if it's easier for it to just stay on the 9th.
I don't know. What does everybody think?
I don't care.
Yeah.
You're not going to show up for that anyway, right?
9th or the 10th is fine with me. Either day does not pose a problem.
I don't know. What do you think, Lizette? Do you want to?
I mean, the 9th works for me better than the 10th a little bit, so.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of, nobody's really saying much.
I would say keep that one on the 9th if we can.
Okay, I guess you're going to be the stepping in right away as the vice president.
Yep.
Okay.
The other option for you to consider, George, is that as the president, you have the power to dictate when the monthly meeting schedule is.
You know, I feel bad about moving it because I know that everybody's kind of gotten used to this time. So I'm afraid if we moved it to like Thursday, then nobody's going to show up except for like 2 or 3 board members who go, hey, where is everybody? So we could leave it at this time, and Lizette can run that meeting. I think that'll work, and I'll just make sure to be at the board meeting on the Thursday beforehand. So we both get out of that one, Christopher.
We old timers promise not to harass Lizette too much as she's running the meeting.
Make sure she has a way to get in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I will make sure that Robin has control. I'll coordinate that with Robin, who isn't here. I wonder why not. Well, that was my big announcement.
And now he's gone.
koha-US, Robin? That's what we're doing right now.
I'm kind of feeling like the kid on the family vacation that got left behind at the last gas station. Where'd everybody go? Leaving without me.
I was just seeing if Robin wanted to join us, and she might log in a second or two. That was the only announcement I was that that meeting was not going to work out for me. So,
All right. Any other announcements? A lot of exciting things happening here. All right, let's move on to election results and new officer introductions. So, Jason, I remember, or I have here, you had said we had 26 votes of 32 members. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we had a good number of votes. So 6 of us did not get to participate, but otherwise we have new officers. So George is going to be coming in as the president, taking over, and Lisette's coming in as vice president, and Megan is our new member at large. We have a second member at large position for supported members, and of course John we can't get rid of.
And we don't want to.
And Fred is with us as always. I'm going to give Lisette and Megan a chance to just do an introduction real quick here, since they are new on the board. So Lisette, we'll start off with you.
I'm Lizette Shear. I work at the Latah County Library District in Moscow, Idaho, which is part of the ValNet Consortium. And I do the systems here as well as working on the circulation desk.
Awesome. How about you, Megan?
So I'm Megan Favre, and I work at the McKinney Public Library here in Texas, and I am a library assistant trying to work my way up to a tech right now, so we'll see how that goes in the next few weeks. Yeah, and that's, I work the circulation desk. I do a little bit of everything here, so even programming. So.
Awesome. Megan, I have a suspicion you're not from Texas.
No, I'm from Minnesota.
Okay. I wasn't hearing it in your voice. So.
Yeah, no, I don't have that little drawl. So I don't have it.
All right.
You have the Minnesota O, though.
I do, and I've had to change how I say things here in Texas because they don't always understand me. So it's like a hybrid now. It's strange.
Well, thank you, folks. I'm glad to have you on the team. It's nice to have some ladies participating, so us guys aren't making all the bad decisions. So George, with the transition, you're going to be working on moving people over into their respective email addresses?
Yes, I'll take care of that. And I was thinking that it would probably be a good idea for somebody besides me to also be able to log into the admin side of the Google Suite, so that we can. So if something happens to me, if my cold had turned for the worse, and that was the end of me, then nobody here would know how to log into Google Suites or TechSoup. And so I was thinking that those would both be things that we should, that I should get somebody else on board with. So anybody want to volunteer?
Sure.
Okay.
And George, I am maintaining a login on the website since we're maintaining the website. So
That seems perfectly reasonable.
So when you transition, I'll still have a way in.
Since it's on your server, it only makes sense that you should have access to it.
All right, excellent. Any other news or comments on the elections?
I am so glad we didn't have a North Carolina.
All
So
right.
actually, now I think we should move all the power away from the incoming president while we still can.
Disconnecting.
So the rest of the board has all the power.
I still have to the end of the month, don't I?
I think you have to the end of this meeting.
The end of this meeting?
I think that's what the bylaws said, is at the end of this meeting or the beginning of the next meeting.
Yep.
Boiled again.
Oh, well.
Okay, well, I better use my power wisely then.
Yes.
All right.
Now's a great time to start.
2019 membership registration. John.
We have developed a membership form for 2019 that uses as its basis the 2018 membership form. It's very streamlined for those people that were members in 2018 that require no changes to any of their information. New members will be requested to submit all of the standard information that everybody submitted in 2018. There is a new question for everybody, however. That is, if you are using a support vendor, and if you are, what that support vendor is. This is, of course, in support of our new board position for the member at large representing those supported individuals. And it turns out, we didn't know this last year, but Google does actually support decision trees within its Forms product. So you'll discover a lot of yes, no questions, or has this changed and that changed. And like I said before, if you were a 2018 member and there are no changes to any of your information, it will be a very streamlined process. There's an initial review of the information as it currently resides on our membership directory for 2018. The ability to change any of that information is necessary. Then the question about vendor support, followed by your agreement to the bylaws, and then how you will be paying. New members just simply select no, that they are not members in 2018, and they'll provide all of their new information. The web form and the payment form, for those that will elect to use PayPal, are both ready to go. I'll probably make them live in a day or so after a message will go out to all of the existing members, inviting them to renew their memberships. So this is very exciting. It will be good to move forward with our next membership year. And I hope to see all of the existing 32 members back for another year of koha-US.
Awesome. John, I can't remember if I had used my personal email or if I had used my president email, but if we've got any officer email addresses in there, we may want to change those over to regular addresses for transition.
I can't remember for sure either. For the yes, no, were you a member in 2018 question, there is actually a link to the 2018 membership list. So you will be able to go ahead and verify that and update that. There's the decision tree is all based on your input. There's no script somewhere that's working and reviewing information that way. So any information that and review that takes place literally is all manual. And because we're such a small group, if somebody does not remember to update their email address and they contact either info at the group or me directly or any of us on the board, it's a very simple matter to just go ahead and make any corrections that need to be made.
Okay. Last question on that membership with the new question. The support vendor, are we going to be posting that with the member information on the website?
That's actually a matter of discussion I've identified for the board. It's certainly something we could include, but I'm not sure that all members would want to include that information within their publicly posted profile. That's actually a matter I think I sent that to you, Jason. Did I not, as a matter for board discussion
Yeah,
for the January meeting?
I've got that on the agenda for next month. Yeah.
At the very least, until the board does discuss that, I would like to at least see, it say that they're supported or not supported. As far as who's
that's actually
who's
a
doing
very
it,
good idea.
You guys can decide that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good idea. Whether or not we elect to post individual responses is secondary, but I do agree that will be included. Whether or not somebody uses support or not will be a part of the 2019 membership list. The other thing the 2019 membership list will include for the board is terms of expiration. Now that we have staggered terms, my renewed term doesn't expire now until the end of 2020, but George stops being president in December of 2019. So for all of the board members, the term of expiration will be listed in addition to their board position.
It's kind of weird to have an expiration date.
I don't know. My orange juice does.
So
all right.
I'm very happy that we're able to get that moving and rolling. Those existing members, do look for a message to go out, like I said, by the end of the week. Then a broader message will be sent out to the koha-US mailing list, which is not, of course, just members. One will also go out to the broader international koha list, though history has shown that we typically don't get very much response from that list in any way, shape, or form. Once we migrate over into 2019 itself, and this is actually referred to in the budget, we'll talk on a broader basis about how we can generally increase membership.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns with membership registration or membership in general? All right.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
So if I remember correctly, membership goes by calendar year, is that correct?
That is correct. It is not a rolling membership. It is calendar year based, and the membership rules have remained the same. They're actually outlined in our bylaws. You pay for a calendar year, but on July 1st, the membership fee drops in half. And the membership fees are actually unchanged for this year. It'll be $25 for a full year. For if you sign up within the first 6 months. If you sign up starting July 1st, it drops down to $12.50. Regardless of when you join, your membership will expire at the end of the calendar year.
Great, thank you.
Good question. All right. All right. Education initiative is next on the list, and I don't see Todd here.
He had a doctor's appointment that came
okay.
up, so he's not going to be here.
All right. Lisette, you're on that committee, correct?
Yeah, we haven't met yet because we just, before it was pretty much just me as the chair and Todd and then, and Valerie. And then at our board meeting last week, Fred and Jason and Jesse Z also said they were interested.
Okay.
But we haven't had a meeting yet.
Have you slated a meeting yet?
I sent out an email this morning, but haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
Like right before the meeting started.
All right. Excuse me a second. I'm trying to find some information.
Where did you send it? Doesn't look like I.
Yeah,
I've been having some trouble.
Either.
Let me send it again from my Gmail one because I've been having some trouble sending out of LATA with my regular one. So I'll just send it again to everyone. And if some people got it twice, then that's okay.
I think our website needs to be fixed. We just did an upgrade on the website, and It looks like our about page is a little wonky. I'll take a look at that later today. But I was looking at the committees here. Okay. So we still don't have the education committee. Lisa, if you could get me a list of the committee that you've got so far, we'll get that on the website. Okay. All right, committee reports. Let's go through this and then we'll open up for discussions. Committee reports, conference.
I'm muted. Conference and fundraising didn't meet in December.
You have a Schedule 4 meeting.
There's supposed to be a fundraising committee meeting the last Tuesday of the month. The last Tuesday of the month this month is Christmas. So we should probably find a different day for that.
Okay. So that's fundraising. What about conference? Do you have a conference meeting scheduled?
Same thing there. I started to put together a doodle poll for meeting, and then I got sick, and it never happened. So
okay, can we that
one needs to happen soon. We need to get.
Yeah. Can we get those schedule or those polls at least by the end of the week?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
All right. Thank you.
In conjunction with Lizette, who will be chairing both of those committees now.
All right. Finance.
You've had the opportunity to review the Finance Committee report. The real big outstanding thing is membership receipts, outstanding membership receipts, as well as outstanding donation receipts. I've been hard pressed to really do anything besides the budget because we're busy packing up and getting ready to move out for a month while they throw another 12 people into a space that was already too small for 20. I will be working from home, fortunately, starting probably Friday of this week, and that will give me the opportunity to get all of those outstanding receipts mailed, as well as investigate a different mail merge program. The one we had been using, which was called Smart Merge, is a great program, but it's ridiculously priced, and they don't tell you there's actually any cost until you run out of your trial period, which I call a really dirty bait and switch trick, but one that's present nonetheless. So the replacement program is called Yet Another Mail Merge. While it does have some expense with it, it is free up to a certain level, and given our current numbers, I don't think we will ever run into a scenario where we will run up against those numbers as the program is currently configured. It also doesn't look quite as nice. So if you are on the board, you will be probably getting a number of different test messages from me while I try to figure out how to get this to work nicely. The big thing from the Finance Committee, of course, is the budget, which is the next item up for discussion. Outside of that, the organization's finances remain very viable. The biggest expense of the year for us, which was actually not an incurred expense, but one that was rather coordinated by us, was, of course, the donations for the annual conference. That check was cashed in early in October, and so the balance that you see, even the final balance for the end of October, as well as the permanent balance for the end of November, those are much more reflective of where we are actually financially, and we are in a very good place. And that's pretty much it for the finance report. If there are any questions, of course, you are always welcome to direct them to me at treasurer@koha-US.org.
Sorry, muted. Questions or comments?
Well done, as always.
Yes. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
All right. And with finances discussed, we have the last committee, Development Committee, with George, Nancy, Owen, and Todd. Todd, actually, I'm sorry, George, so you'll need to add that to your list of committees.
Yeah, that was the one that I didn't know I was the chair of until last time, and I completely forgot about it, didn't I?
Well, technically, you're chair until the end of the meeting. So, George and Lisette, it is upon you to get that ball rolling and get that group meeting as soon as possible, because you have some funds to figure out where they're going to go. Okay, so please get that going as soon as possible. And you know, if you don't feel like you have enough people on that development committee, because there's only 4 people, and I don't know, I always like odd numbers on committees, but if you need any other people, you might put out a call for, you know, other volunteers to be on that committee. All right.
At some point in time, there was a document that committee had made, you know, explaining the process, the development process. Does anybody know where that is?
Isn't it on our website?
Yes, that's on the website. I can get you.
It is on the website? Okay.
Yeah. If you go to collaborate with koha-US, there's a developments link, and I will get that in the chat. It's just
okay,
koha-us.org/developments. So.
Where do we have that link on our website? I'm trying to.
It's under collaborate with koha-US.
Collaborate, okay. That's right. Okay. All right, so yeah, let's get that ball rolling and get that group working on the development process ASAP. All right. Any other comments about the committees before we move on?
Did you want to talk about the 2019 budget at all? We didn't. We talked about the Finance Committee report. We didn't talk about the budget.
Go for it.
We have a 2019 budget. The link was provided to you in the agenda. If you take a look at the numbers look a lot larger for 2019 than they do for 2018. The primary cost for that is because of the receipt of conference income and conference expenses in 2019, which is something we did not incur in 2018. If you take out income or expected income related to the conference, the increase in our overall budget is only about 50% relative to 2018. I do have noted an increase in membership, essentially doubling our numbers from the current 32 to about 60, accounting or expecting no attrition because we had a majority of our members join in the last half of 2018. There is also expected to be a slight increase in membership around the time of the conference because it's expected that one of the benefits of membership is that you will get a slightly discounted conference attendance rate, and I expect that that might actually prompt a number of people to join at that time. So membership is up about 5% in terms of income. We have a lot of good numbers to work with that form the basis for the 2019 budget, but it's still not for a complete year. So while I think we did a fairly good job estimating the total overall income and expense for 2018, the categories were a little bit off, and that really was to be expected because we really didn't have anything to go on. I'm hoping that the 2019 numbers will hopefully be a little bit more accurate now that we've got some actual data to work on. One of the things you'll note, and this is true for the 2018 budget as well as the proposed one, any money that is remaining in the organization beyond organizational reserves will be specifically earmarked exclusively for koha development. That number, as currently budgeted for 2019, is just under $2,000, which is not chump change by any stretch of the imagination. It's certainly an increase over the $730 that was budgeted for 2018. I will note, though, that the 2018 number is actually expected to be larger than that because we had outstanding funds from earlier non-budgeted periods that we can also earmark now for the development process. What that number is will be available once the books are closed and finally reconciled. That is to say, it'll be available for discussion by the February board meeting, at which point in time all of those numbers will be set up. In terms of everything else, there really are no changes. There's a lot of more of a breakdown, especially of expenses, including, you'll note, the addition of conference expenses, again, because we will be hosting our own conference next year. You'll also note that thanks to the generosity of Nichols and the generosity of Coeur d'Alene Public Library, there are still no budgeted expenses for either Zoom meeting hosting or website hosting. We can take those on if those organizations do decide to stop providing very graciously their services to us. So if we do need to take on those expenses, it's not going to be a significant financial burden, but the current budget does not account for them. You'll see them specifically mentioned with zeros in the 2019 expenses, but the comment that Nichols and Coeur d'Alene Public are providing those services. It was very interesting putting this budget together. Last year I had a blank slate and I could write whatever I wanted. This year I did not quite have that luxury. I had to make sure everything lined up properly, and I believe I did a very good job in doing so. As always, just like with the Finance Committee reports, any questions that you might have with regards to this budget, which does actually need to be voted on today, are certainly welcomed and encouraged. And again, you can reach me at treasurer@koha-US.org with those questions and comments.
John, one note, the web space is not from the Coeur d'Alene Public. It is the Cooperative Information Network.
I will make changes and revise both of those documents with that change. Outside of that change, which will be made immediately after this meeting, are there any other comments before this goes to vote to those present here at the meeting today?
I would like to add that there is no slated budget right now for the education initiative. It will need to be decided by the board and presumably the members, as well as whether or not the remaining funds that we have that we say are going to fall to development are going to be divided, or are we going to end up raising funds outside of that for the education initiative. So that is something that the board needs to work on right away as you develop the education initiative for Koha-US.
And it is worth noting that our bylaws do allow us to make mid-year budget revisions that are substantial in nature. We do have the capability of do that. I think Article 5, Section 2, I actually list it somewhere in the budget document. Yes, it's on the front page, the introductory letter. So we can take this budget and pass it as presented because we do have the ability to make any major modifications to it, like a parsing out of funding for the education initiative, which I certainly think would qualify for that purpose once the education committee provides us with a framework to move forward.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments?
I think it looks great.
So as far as approval of the budget, John, you mentioned that we need to do a vote, which I wasn't prepared for. But the bylaws do say the board must approve the budget. So is it just the board voting today?
I'm trying to think of how we did this last year. I think last year we actually did not follow the formal bylaws. I think we just sent it up for those that were present. And that was actually probably also true because we didn't actually have official membership at that point in time, besides the 5 of us that were on the board.
Right. So do we want to do an official vote of the membership over email, or do we just want to go by the bylaws and say the board?
If it's by the bylaws, we need to go by the bylaws.
Okay. So Article 5, Section 2 does say the board must approve the budget. So
okay. So I move that we accept the budget as presented with the changes noted. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Then I'll third.
All in favor, say aye.
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 One abstention, that is by the preparer.
Opposed? All right.
I was sure to mute everybody there, right?
All right, John, you have a budget.
Thank you all.
All right, let's open up the floor for discussions. So how many of you are currently working on 1805 or greater?
Since last Saturday.
Ah.
So it's almost 3 days now.
Well, George, you missed a good discussion about 1805 at the board meeting, because I had brought up some things that we had learned. Lisette brought some things to our attention, but so Lisette, why don't you talk about it real quick, and I'll bring up some stuff, and then we can hear from others.
I'm trying to remember which things it was that I had talked about, because we've been upgraded for 2 months already this week, and so a lot of it's already been fixed except for the rounding error and the holds error, which were both in. Well, the rounding thing, sometimes when we pay a fine, mostly if it's certain amounts we've noticed, like $1.40 or $14, especially, or where it happens a lot, but also some other ones, it'll tell us we're overpaying. If we're doing like $1.40, it'll say we're paying too much and have to pay only $1.40. And if we do $1.39 and then 1 cent, it'll pay it off. And that has to do, I think, with a rounding error, and also maybe credits because they got kind of broken in the last update.
This is the pay selected error, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that patch for the fines issue, the credit issue, didn't fix that?
Oh, I haven't had any reports from it the last week or so.
Okay.
I didn't know that it had been patched.
So we patched the credit issue where the count lines were showing differently than the payment tab. That's been patched.
Okay.
And supposedly that also fixed the rounding error issue.
Oh,
so
good.
If you continue to see things, make sure to let us know so that we can jump back on that.
Yeah, I will. I haven't gotten any reports of it in more than a week.
Cool.
Nate, has that been applied to all your customers, or?
Yes, I can get back to you on that. I know, like last week, I was raising hell about it, and I was like, "We need this patched by the end of the week."
Thank you.
And Larry's been out, so we were kind of, struggling there for a minute. But it should have been patched either Friday of last week or early this. But I will verify that momentarily.
Okay.
Yeah, anything to do with fines.
For a while, it was 18.0505, and now it's 18.0506. So that's probably the patch you're talking about on our end, anyway.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Christopher. So basically, there were like 7 or 8 libraries that were like, seeing a lot of this, and most of the other customers really weren't reporting them. So I know we patched the 7 or 8 libraries first. So CIN and ValNet were part of that, Huntsville, Washoe. So there were a bunch.
Okay.
So y'all should be okay if you were really kind of seeing it a lot and you reported it early.
All right.
And we've been given a doctrine because, the early adopters program this was reported to us, but for some reason it didn't delay the major upgrade. So going forward, anything that has to do with fines or transaction is an immediate red flag. So it won't happen again. So apologies for that. Should have caught it.
Thanks.
One of the other bugs that we had seen was with holds. We were noticing that we had a couple books of the same title and the same bib that were on our hold shelf, and they were showing in the holds list as not triggered. there are a few things going on with holds. Some of them, I don't know if all of it is 1805, but we've been noticing it recently, where, and I know that there's a patch being worked on, or I think it's just passed. I can't remember, but if you change the priority of a bib record, hold, so for example, you've got, let's say you've got 5 copies, a couple of them are waiting status on a hold shelf, and you change the priority of another hold in that bib record, it knocks those waiting items down to a priority status instead of waiting. So that's an issue that's being worked on. One of the side effects, and this is going on currently in master as well for Koha, if you knock a hold that is waiting down to a priority level, if it was a first available or next available hold, it is turned into a item specific hold. Not only that, it retains the expiration date. So if they didn't specify a cutoff date for their request before, now that expiration date turns into a cutoff date. So if it isn't addressed by that cutoff date, if it isn't put back into waiting, it will retain that date and that hold will disappear. So that's been kind of a major thing. And to top it off, there's another issue that I'm still working on with items that are waiting that end up in the wrong location. Somebody, we have an item waiting, patron comes in, grabs the item, doesn't check it out, they read it, they turn it back into another branch, and you check it in and nothing happens. So I'm still working on that. I've had to do some tweaking on that particular patch, but we have to be able to, in order to get that ball rolling again. Right now, the workaround is changing that waiting. If it's turned in, change that waiting status back to priority 1, then scan it, and it will go on its merry way to where it's supposed to be. So, we've got 3 bugs interacting with each other that are kind of sticky and making a mess of holds.
Do you know the numbers on any of those bugs?
One of them's 21346. I need to sign it off again.
That was the primary hold, and that was split off. That just fixes, right now, that only fixes the modals and dialogues on the return page now. The actual waiting status was split off. That was 21, I want to say 944. Yeah. And I've got to create a test for that, and boy, that's been my my Achilles right now, is trying to figure out how to do tests for those things. It works, but I got to make sure that it doesn't regress in the future. So that's why we've got to come up with these tests. So I'm still working on that one. Hopefully in the next week or so, if I get some time, I'll get a test out for that, and somebody can test it and sign off on it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Christopher.
So far, I hadn't seen anything with holds, but we also have our staff set up so that they cannot modify the priority of holds. Only the system administrators can do that. So effectively, only me. Well, Robin can do it too, but I don't know how often she does.
Yeah, we have select people that we allow to do that. We had to pull back the reins on that when we were seeing some abuse.
Some mischief.
Yes, so that has helped, but we've had to send out a warning to staff to not use the little drop down to change priorities. We told people use the arrows for changing. So for now, that seems to sidestep the waiting statuses issue.
Christopher, if you need help with testing also, and we can help in any way, just shoot me an email with exactly what you need, and I'll throw one of our developers on it.
Okay. Yeah, the big thing for me right now is just a learning curve on creating tests for those things, because there's not really any superior instructions on how to build those tests, or the criteria as to what you're doing for it. So I'm having to learn as I go on that one.
Okay. And I can also confirm that everybody will be patched with that fines issue by this weekend, and the initial responders are already done.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anybody else have any good things to talk about?
Well, Heather put a bunch of stuff in the chat because she can't talk. She mentioned some bugs that affect authority and search display that can be worked around, and a bug with the emoji tags, and a bug in their tag cloud.
Okay. Let's see here. Authority file search display. I'm pulling these up. Not seeing a initial description of see, searching entire authority record failing.
See, I think I might have enough connectivity to talk here.
Yep.
Great. The searching bug is such that if you leave the default selected, so let me take a look here. Like if you're searching the authority file in the staff client and it says search entire record, or you do the equivalent in the OPAC, you'll get a no results found, even if there is an authority record there. So you want to select search all headings in order to actually retrieve the authority records. And then if you do a search and your results are multi-paged, it won't actually page correctly through all the results. So say page 3 of your authority file results will still be only showing you something like the first 21 or 22 records retrieved, and you can't see like records 30 through 50 in the staff client.
Is there a workaround on that?
Let me double check.
Maybe show more results instead of having it paged, pagination.
What I've been trying to do is simply search on terms that I know might be embedded in the subfield A of an authority record in order to kind of nail it. So I've been taking a lot of my searching over to OCLC or the Library of Congress catalog, and then going back to see if I have that record in our local KOHA catalog.
Okay.
I see for both of those authority record bugs, it says there's a patch that's been applied to 1811 and 1905, but I don't see anything that it's been backported to 1805. So that's something maybe to see if whoever the release maintainer for 1805 is can see if those can be pushed back to 1805 too, since there does seem to be a working patch.
I think that's one of the next steps that they usually do when it's been pushed to stable.
Yeah.
Look to see if it can be backported, and those are bugs. Those are not enhancements. Yeah,
and it also, it's looking to me like they were both pushed to 1811 today.
Yeah.
So pretty recently. So there might be like a final solution for those on 1805 soon, if they can be pushed back.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, in the meantime, I think it's just something for the cataloging staff, people to be aware of, because if you're not aware of the bugs, it can lead to importing duplicate authorities.
Uh-huh.
I'll check on those 2 bugs that were pushed to master and see where we are in backporting.
Thank you.
Duplicate authorities, that never happens.
2.
I almost did a spit take. I should learn not to drink water during these meetings.
Question the authority file.
Well, I'm thinking if you're going to do a spit take, you really need the video turned on too.
Well, now that's the reason for our IT to upgrade.
Absolutely.
All right, and then you talked about an emojis bug, 21846.
I experimented with using a little dog emoji on our records that discuss dogs on ships, and a whale emoji for our records that discuss whales. And what happened is the system is not distinguishing between dogs and whales or coffee. So if you go take a look at our tag cloud, you just see like one really big dog emoji. And if you click on the dog, it retrieves the dog and the whales.
That's interesting.
It seems highly unuseful.
Well, we had thought it might be great for people who don't relate to letters well, say dyslexic, or people that have issues with keyboards.
Cool.
Too bad it doesn't work, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one is in discussion.
Let me have another sip of my cup of dog.
All right, and then you provided a link to, it looks like, an actual display of the bug. Or at least, let's see here, you can see the bug in our tag cloud. So there is a dog in your tags. Very cool. I haven't used the stuff, but that's interesting. Huh. Okay.
I think you're right. It would be useful for just those reasons you specified.
Never thought about using those in there. That's interesting. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Heather. Anyone else? Bugs, issues, anything exciting that you've been playing with, doing?
I broke out the summary so that it's always there. You know, the new summary they added. I could show you. It'd be easier to show you.
Yeah.
How do I share my screen? Green button.
Should be a green button on the bottom of your, there you go.
See that? Okay. So my people were really excited about the, of course it's not showing now. It's going to do crazy things. This is my test server. So the summary that they added at the top of the checkout table, I had a lot of people excited about that, but they didn't know it was there. So I added some jQuery to make that appear up here. And then I've been leveraging that to put a little warning about our visual media limits. So, and I haven't added this code to the jQuery wiki yet, but I'll get there.
Very cool.
And then I have this crazy disco thing I'm playing with, but it's supposed to tell them, oops, it's supposed to tell them when they're not in the box, but I think it's a little obnoxious right now, so I'm still working on that.
There is no such thing as too obnoxious with frontline circulation staff.
If it gets them to pay attention to the screen, it's good.
Exactly.
I like your test server logo there.
Oh yeah, it usually has skulls, but I had to test with the skulls as the background, but I had to test the background switching, so it's
Now
not
I'm
there
the
right
one almost doing a spit take.
Please.
Skulls. No sharks, huh?
No sharks. Maybe next time. It falls back on pineapples. I should change that to sharks. That's something I've been playing with.
Anything
Actually,
else?
yes, John, I disagree, but nothing too obnoxious. There's a term for it in the medical field. It's called alarm fatigue. If you're in ICU and there are alarms going on all around the place, you stop listening to them.
I added jQuery to make that list of item types, the item type count drop down all the time, but I like what you did there to have it just in a separate box.
Yeah, the main complaint we get is because we have a new visual and a regular visual, I can't set an overarching item type for that.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make it more obvious for people.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Anyone else?
Just a request. Could somebody save the contents of the chat box and send it to me?
Yep.
I know there's a way to do this on an iPad, but I don't know.
I can add it to the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Nate had posted 21962 and 21405 both pushed to master, and 21608 is also pushed to stable. Gotta run. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. So he left. All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, let me get back to my other screen here. Come on, there we go. So that looks like it is it for the discussions. Ongoing discussion, of course, always breaking the Linux barrier. Any ways that we can, in any way, shape, or form, to help people with the Linux environment, and maybe that is going to be something that the education initiative can focus on, and we can start providing some ways for people to learn more about Linux. You know, I've learned a lot working with the Koha dev box, and one of the things that has been a huge saver for me in the Koha dev box is figuring out how to, I've had some people help me figure out and I cannot think of it right now. It has to do with the Koha clone. We had to set it up outside of the Koha dev box development so that it would synchronize. It's a synchronization issue. It solved a lot of issues with my Koha dev box. So if you ever get a chance to play with the Koha dev box, get that sync to work, because that will make a huge difference. I've had such a difference with working with the environment, and it hasn't crashed on me or had problems with it. If you don't have the sync enabled on there, it really bogs down the dev box. So that is something that I learned. But you know, working with the dev box, I get a chance to work with the Linux environment more, and I've learned a lot working with that dev box. The sandboxes are great if you're doing testing, but if you can get a chance to build a Koha dev box, that is a way to go, because you learn a lot in the process there. So that's my soapbox. That's the one I'm going to go out on. I want to thank the board for a great year and for all your help. I think we've made some huge strides, and I can't wait to see what you guys do this next year. It's been great working with all of you and being on the board, and I appreciate the opportunity. And so now I pass on the hat to George. George, it is all yours.
No, it's not. I got like 5 people to help me.
But,
I've got 5 people to share the blame with.
Let's give a round of applause for
Yeah.
Christopher.
Thank you. Oh, that's better than the last applause I got. It was like I couldn't hear anything. Thank you. I appreciate it. And with that said, we'll see you again next month. I will not see anybody at a board meeting, but I will see you guys at the general meeting. Thank you very much. Have a great month. Have a great Christmas, and keep in touch.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Well, a reminder
Joyous
to
winter
you about,
holiday of your choice.
Lizette will actually be in charge of the next meeting because I will be in Highland. And the board meeting will be on Thursday the 3rd instead of Tuesday the 2nd. So see you all later.
See ya.
See ya.
Hey.